Hi, we're going to talk about going green now in our green vegetables. I want to start off by saying that green vegetables are high in nutrients, particularly iron and vitamin C. First one we have here is the one that most people are unfamiliar with in the fresh variety, or maybe they're just a little bit timid and giving it a shot. But it's asparagus. Asparagus comes in a couple different colors. Today we're going to talk about the green one. Things you want to watch for when you're purchasing asparagus, in particular, is a nice even green color all the way from the tip to the stem. Now the stem typically gets trimmed off about 1 inch up, but you'll notice here that there's no white here. It's all a nice uniform green shade. Another thing you want to look at when you're purchasing asparagus is the tip. The tip should be firm. The little buds should be fully intact. It should not be watery or mushy. That's an indication that it's been picked and sitting around for a while, and the decaying process has begun. So again, you can notice there's always a few in every bunch that have started that process of the ends turning white, and this one here really isn't that bad. But if that white starts to creep up here, then it's a good indication that you should discard it because it's starting to rot. Next one we have is broccoli. This is like every 5-year-old's friend, broccoli. We all love it when we're kids. But a good indication that you can tell whether it's fresh or not. The crown, it's this part here, should be nice and firm. It should be well intact. The buds should not be falling off, and it should have a nice dark uniform green color. When these buds start turning yellow or white, that's an indication that the decay process has started, and you should discard it. Another thing I want to point out here is the stem as well. And you'll find that on most vegetables, the stem is a good indication whether it's starting to rot now. But it has a nice color to it. It's white, it's not brown, it's not mushy. This is a really nice healthy part of broccoli. And what I want to point out too is the buds and crowns are not the only edible part. The stem is edible as well. If you cut this off and you peel it down a little bit and slice it, it's great in stir fries, it's great in making soups and stuff. So remember, especially when our budget-minded customers these days, let's use all of the produce. Next two I want to talk about are zucchini and cucumber. One thing that you should focus on when purchasing zucchini and cucumber is trying to keep it no more than 2 inches to 2.5 inches in diameter, usually about 8 or 9 inches in length. The longer and fatter that the cucumber and zucchini get, the more seeds it tends to have, and in the inside starts to get bitter and fibrous. So here we have two very beautiful looking pieces of produce here. Again, nice firm stem. There's not too many color variations. Now, don't be turned off by the yellow, the slight yellow or light green underneath. That's typically just where it is laid. But now if it's white, then that is an indication of over-ripening. So you want to avoid those. But this is common, and there's nothing wrong with this. As well as the cucumber. Both of them you want to be firm to the touch. No soft spots, no bruising, no nicks, no tears, because that could escalate the decaying process even faster. Finally, I'm going to finish up and talk about some leafy greens. The first one we're going to talk about is the cabbage. One thing you want to focus on when you're purchasing fresh cabbage is these outer leaves. Now, typically these outer leaves aren't used in cooking. However, they are a good indicator as to whether this head is fresh or not. These outer leaves should have a nice dark green color to them, as well as there should be no decaying on the outside of the leaf. It should be nice and firm, and then that's a pretty good indication that the inside is nice and ripe. So if you see the heads in the grocery store, these have been removed, I'd stay leery of those and stay away from them. Talk about a couple different lettuces now. We have your romaine lettuce and a typical green leaf lettuce. Both of them pretty much have the same properties to them. Again, we want to look at the stems. There's no discoloration. It's nice, white, firm. It's moist. So that is a good indication of a nice, healthy lettuce. Also, we want to take a look at the ribs here. There's no brown spotting on these ribs. So that's an indication of a really healthy green. As well as the tops. There's no frayed ends, there's no burnt ends, no brown ends. Now you will get a little bit here and there, as we do in this romaine right here, but for the most part, this is a pretty healthy head of lettuce right here. One thing I want to point out, when storing lettuce, and really all of these vegetables, you should store them in the refrigerator, in your crisper, and I would not hold on to these for more than 3 to 5 days. Cabbage has a little bit more of a shelf life. You can probably get a week to a week and a half out of cabbage, but in particular, the leafy vegetables you want to keep no more than 3 days. Bottom of the refrigerator and the crisper is the best way to keep them. I want to point out one thing is in the grocery store we get a lot of our produce in these convenient bags, and we tend to tie them up really tight, and we go home and we stick this in the refrigerator. Well, what this does, it deprives the vegetables of oxygen, and it really locks in all the gases and moisture and really elevates the decaying process. So I recommend taking them out of the bags and storing them. If you want to loosely wrap them, that's fine, or just right in the crisper in a bowl or just an open container. One thing I'd like to mention at this point is our convenience items, like this bag of lettuce here. Yes, they're great, they're easy, they're convenient, you can pick them up on your way home from work and you have a salad. If that's your intention, by all means go for it. But if you have the intention of leaving this in your refrigerator for more than 2 days, I would avoid it. After a couple of days, you'll notice, and sometimes in the grocery stores, you'll notice that moisture will start to collect and it will rapidly deteriorate the leaves. And you can notice this was purchased today, and already the leaves have started to brown, and you can notice the moisture in them. So if at all possible, avoid these bags because they're really not that great. So I hope these tips help you on your next trip to the store when you're purchasing your green vegetables.